Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Wild American Journey. I'm Ben, and I have Beau with me tonight.
Yes, you do. Live in the flesh.
Yes. Welcome.
And the hair, too. Yeah, it looks good. I love it.
So I invited Beau here because he's an old friend, and he loves hockey and skiing, and he lives in southern Arizona.
I know.
So
close to Mexico.
Yeah, right, exactly. Our average snowfall here per year is a big fat 0 inches. So
wow.
Kind of want to talk to Beau and see how he does it. So
yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Thanks, man, for having me. And it's exciting to be on this, dude, to actually talk about something that I love so much.
Yeah.
And I don't really get a chance to chat much about it.
Right.
So this is going to be pretty cool.
Yeah. No, I'm real excited to see how you do it. I mean, when I first met you back in like 2008, 2009, I didn't know you were into winter sports at all. So, so I'm interested to hear the journey behind it. So, I mean, with that being said, why don't we just go all the way back to the beginning and tell us about you, where you came from and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, that's great. If you can believe it, I was born in Encino in the San Fernando Valley, so not really a winter sport place.
Not a ski town.
Not a ski town, no. Lived in North Hollywood growing up. Now, you go like, man, how that doesn't work, you know?
Yeah.
But there, my family, my mother and my father moved from the state of Maine to Hollywood.
Gotcha.
And so coming from Maine, they had a kind of way about them that was kind of different from, say, my wife. I've been married over 30 years, and my wife's family's from inner city Los Angeles.
Right.
That's a different lifestyle than my mom and dad. My mom and dad are from small towns, woods, creeks,
so they
lakes.
Grew up skiing, fishing, and all that stuff.
Yeah, they grew up around the ponds, getting ice skates on. During the winter time, sledding, snowmobiling. I mean, you think of all the things you can do in cold countries, know, and so that was their world. They went out to Hollywood to party. I mean, my dad especially, just went out there to kind of raise hell, so to speak.
Yeah, get away from small town rural America.
Right. And he thought, where can I go and no one know me and I could just kind of do my thing. And
so he went from one corner to the other.
All the way to the other. He and my mom raised us going around the United States twice. So in a car.
Family road trips then?
Family road trips. So twice I went around.
Chevy Chase vacation style?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it was, I remember they had a blue Jeep. And it was kind of a Wagoneer thing. Right. And they took off. And I don't know really how long we were gone, but it seemed like a long time. But it probably was like 3 to 4 weeks.
Right.
My dad was a guy who never really held a job. He was quite the alcoholic, actually.
Right.
And then my mom was the one who kind of held down work. And obviously she could take off some time and they would do these big road trips. And my dad would try to touch every state. He'd just go all over the place. And so I think I've touched every state besides Alaska.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay. Gotcha. So you've never...
In Alaska. Yeah, for years.
Similar. I have cousins in Alaska, but I have actually never been.
Yeah, I think it's just because it's where it's at, where it's located. And that's where you have it because you're lived in Washington.
From Seattle up to Alaska. And farthest north I've been is Victoria, Canada. So,
okay. Yeah. So I've been to like Montreal but anyway, that kind of, I think whetted the appetite a lot for us, me and my brother, my brother and I, and we just always have enjoyed being around, the open nature. My dad moved to Big Bear when I was around 10 years old.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And when he moved to Big Bear, he had us every other week in a divorce situation. Yeah. So like most people, you kind of come get picked up at skiing,
Gotcha. So Big Bear was where you first skied. Gotcha.
Yep. And I cut my teeth on at Snow Summit
Mm-hmm.
night skiing. I remember my dad would always be like, you know, he would go to an AA meeting. He was sobering up, and he was like, "Hey, dude, I'll drop you off at 4, and you could do the night ski."
Man, my dad would just drop us off at an arcade with no money and be like, "Hey, I'll see you after business hours." And I'm like, what are we going to do in an arcade with no money?
Right? Not much. You're gonna fish for quarters.
Yeah, exactly. We're like, all right, this one. Oh, I can play one game. Yeah. So, how old were you when you?
I think I was around, 11, 12, 13 when I really started kind of getting the ski thing going.
Right.
I was scared to death. I remember it had to be one of my first times. I was on a lift with a guy who was like probably, when I think about it, he was probably a college student.
Right.
And we're on the lift, and he says, "On this, have you ever been on this lift?" And I said, "No." And he says, "Well, we're going to have to jump at a certain point." And I was like, "Really?" And he goes, "Yes." And no joke, my heart like just went right out of me. I thought, "Oh my God, really? We got to jump off this thing?" And I was scared. I remember like almost thinking I'm going to cry. Like I was so nervous about having to jump off this thing. And then he said, "No, dude, no, I'm just joking." But that was a beautiful time, just skiing, doing the night skiing, learning how to ski. I knew how to roller skate already a lot because my dad's French Canadian.
Right.
And because of that, hockey was already a big sport for us when I was born. I mean, I just was born with a stick in my hand. So I learned how to roller skate because we lived in San Fernando Valley. We didn't have really much ice.
And so you did roller hockey then? Yeah.
And it was always, if you could picture this, everybody out there, a white French Canadian teaching Mexicans in North Hollywood about the game of hockey.
You're right.
And so as kids, me and my brother would be out there with roller skates on, hockey sticks, pucks, and, we'd watch the Kings on TV. And this is back in Marcel Dion, Dave Taylor. I mean, a lot of old players, Rogie Vachon. This is the late 70s, early 80s, before Gretzky was in Los Angeles. Yeah. And it was just a blast. My dad took us to the practices in Culver City to watch the Kings practice. He was that into it. Yeah. And so hockey was always a part of our lives. So I think, having hockey as a background, just cultural background with a French Canadian father, and then him moving to Big Bear and being around snow was a great kind of link, to kind of getting back to maybe some of our ethnic roots, like my French Canadian background in Montreal, Quebec. And so it was great. I would go to Maine, visit there, and then come back to California, hang out in Big Bear, ski. My mom would send me on trips in high school, ski trips to Colorado.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
I wish my parents sent me to Colorado on ski trips. I mean, I got ski school up to Stevens Pass and Washington State, which was great. But Colorado.
Yeah, and it was, my mom, I think, as a single mom at the time, wanted to get me busy.
You're right.
I struggled with other areas of my life, and she probably saw that.
You're right.
And she was like, "Hey, what is this kid into?" And I was into skiing a lot. I thought it was awesome. I had 210s, Castle 210s. Right. That's how big.
Yeah, I remember more advanced. Because when you start out up to the chin, but then once you were good, you would do this.
You go a foot above.
Yeah, you go a foot above. And it's like, okay, those are perfect. It's like if it's to the chin or forehead, like those are tall skis.
So I was into bump skiing. Okay, so when I'm learning at Big Bear, I see a mountain with a bunch of bumps on it.
Yeah.
Now, to me, in my perverted brain, I just saw a bunch of boobies, and I hate to say that, but hey, Generation X, man. Yeah, and I just thought, like, wow, dude, that thing's crazy looking.
I want to go down those.
So I just, and you watch, I'm from that era of watching movies like Hot Dog, and you know what I mean? Those really, what do they call, I don't know, teen A flicks,
You're right.
and about skiing, and I just wanted to ski them so bad.
Yeah.
I remember I went in to buy skis, and they said, "What do you like to ski?" And I said, man, I want to ski moguls." And they said, "Man, you need one." And I'm like, "That's short?" And they're like, "Yeah." And they're still huge. They're still like, pretty big.
Yeah.
And I still have those skis to this day.
Yeah.
I've kept a lot of my equipment from even when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I just find it super nostalgic.
Oh yeah, totally. Gosh, the skis I had in high school, they were just really tall fishers. I forget how big they were, but I remember, and they were my mom's old racing skis from when she grew up. And so, it was just like, okay, yeah, these are good.
These are good. They're huge.
But I tell you, learning how to ski on, just long, straight skis, you really learn how to turn. Because you have to throw your weight into it. And now, with the way skis are made, it's just like, this is what I came from, and now it's nice and easy.
So much smoother nowadays, so much easier. But it was great. My mom would send me on these trips. They would be a week long. I remember one trip to Breckenridge, one trip to Vail, one trip to Aspen, one trip to Copper Mountain.
Wow.
Just these different trips. And she kind of just, and it was funny. It was I don't remember any parental supervision. I just remember her putting me on a big tour bus.
Was it like an organized trip? Okay,
it was an organized tour.
It wasn't just like she threw you on a Greyhound.
So no, go later. No, but it was all paid for, so it was something she looked up.
Right.
And I think I'm sure she talked to people there and said, "Hey, this is my teenage boy. Just keep an eye on him."
Right.
And that's really where I started learning mogul skiing and started really honing in a little bit on the technique.
Right.
What that style was like, because that's kind of a unique kind of skiing. And my brother and I have always been kind of like really into the technical aspects of whatever we get into. And so I just took off on it. I just thought it was great. I bailed so many times, so many crashes. I mean, flying. I mean, literally yard sales. I mean, just everything everywhere. But I mean, that was a beautiful passion. I loved being in the snow. I loved snowmobiling. I always thought that was another thing. I could really get into that even today. If I think as I get older, if someone says, "Hey, you want to get involved in snowmobiling?" I might do it.
Yeah, I might go buy a snowmobile.
Man, they are fun.
I have actually never been on one.
Gosh, because you can go for like 48 miles and just on the thing.
Yeah, it's one of those bucket list things I've always wanted to do, but never had a chance.
So, grew up in an era in Southern California where we had just so many cool things colliding. We had great punk music. We had building half pipes in backyards. Skateboarding was really taking off. Surfing became a real radical surfing, became popular. And I just happened to grow up in that Generation X culture where all these things kind of hit. So, in high school, I would surf in the morning and then go up and ski. Up the mountain.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing about California. You just go surf and then you can go ski.
Isn't that crazy? and then maybe even like, later that night, go to a rave or go to a concert or something. I mean, it was just such an eclectic, amazing city in that way. And with the San Bernardino Mountains close and everything. So it was really fun. Californians, as you know, are used to driving long distance. And so it's not like when you live in New Hampshire and you're like a half an hour. That's long,
right. Yeah, I mean, when I lived in California, my commute every day with no traffic was 40 minutes each way. And if you kicked in traffic, sometimes it was like 3 hours. But it was like, it's California.
Yeah. And so my mom was always a hunter. She was very much, she lived in Alaska over 30 years and she was a deep sea fisherwoman.
Wow.
She loved to just be out in the woods, out in the sea. And that really, just like I said, part of your life. And she would always say, I want you and your brother to go ski. I want you and your brother to go enjoy your life and get out out there. And it has been a cultural thing
Mm.
because, you know, a lot of people are, when they're raised in a big area like LA or LA
Yeah.
County, you know, you have like 12 million people,
Right.
you know, and some people just hunker down
Yeah.
and they just don't have the finances,
Right.
maybe to
Yeah. It's expensive.
venture out, you
Yeah.
know? And so I was fortunate where my mom was able to set aside some money
Mhm.
and really encouraged us to try to do different things and get out there and do it. And so even in surfing, that was a huge part of my teenage life.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I always had poopy cars that would
Yeah,
break
right.
down going to the
Yeah.
beach, but I would hitchhike and surf and then
Yeah.
fix it after. You know, it's like that's how we did it. But my mom would always want to come with me to the
Mhm.
beach and watch me surf.
Yeah.
So she was way interested in kind of the outdoor life like
Yeah.
that.
Or-
No, never did. But she would watch all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
She would go and just sit and watch me surf or ski or whatever.
Yeah.
She just wanted to be around. She was
Mhm.
always interested in being outside with us.
Yeah.
So she was a hiker. She loved those things. That was great. So when I moved to Tucson 30 years ago, you know, I never would have thought that I would have kept up stuff like this.
Was there a point between when you moved from California to Tucson that you kind of fell away from skiing for a while, or did you just
No,
keep on right
no.
with it?
When I had two kids,
Mhm.
and when I had two kids, I didn't ski for 25 years.
Oh wow. Okay.
25
Yeah.
years I didn't ski.
So you just picked up skiing then in the past 5 years again?
Yep.
Okay.
And when I picked it up, I just literally, my skill even catapulted more. Now, and
Really?
I'll tell you why. It's because I did a lot of hockey
Mhm.
over those years,
Yeah.
playing hockey, competitive hockey, got really into that out here in the desert, if
Yeah.
you can believe it.
Well, I mean, there's
Right. And little did I know I would be and end up being working as a chaplain for
Right.
that team.
Yeah.
You know, but that's another part of my life. Is
Yeah.
now I do work in hockey,
Yeah.
you know, which is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's again, it's the culture, it's getting kind of by the ice, you know, and that's beautiful. That feeling, you know how it is, that cold feeling
Yeah.
is beautiful.
I love it. I mean, so off and on for probably, because like I've skied since I was 6, and then I skied really consistently till I was in the 12th grade. And then the first few years in the Marine Corps, I didn't ski much, but then once Katie and I got married, took some great trips to like Mammoth Mountain.
Yeah, that's a
You know, I
place.
was in my 20s, you know, so prime physical condition. And then I kind of, you know, take a couple of years off, go back to it. But then, you know, since my daughter was born, you know, it's only been a couple of times. But this past winter, I finally made it up to Flagstaff. And I'm like, come hell or high water, I'm skiing this winter. Getting on the lift the first run, I'm just kind of like, man, am I even going to like be able to get off the lift? And it's like, okay, I get to the top, everything like that. And I take my first couple of turns. I'm like, biggest smile on my face. I'm like, okay, my skill is still here, but my endurance was gone. 2 more turns. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so fat.
Yeah. It'll test you.
Yeah.
I did a couple ski trips, short ones throughout that time of having a break really of it, just a couple here and there.
Yeah.
But then, you know, my dad died 6 years ago, and my brother, it's funny, when your parents start dying, you just start changing.
You're right. Yeah.
Life changes, the way you look at things changes. And my brother, I only have one brother, he's older. I do have a wonderful stepbrother in New Hampshire. He's awesome. And but my biological brother said, hey, I'm going to get into skiing.
Yeah.
And he skied with me when we were little.
Right.
But he stopped.
Gotcha.
And I'm the one who went to the trips and got really into it.
Yeah.
Got into mogul skiing and everything. And I said, dude, that is awesome.
Yeah.
You know, and then my mom got sick and with cancer. And she said, hey, she wanted just us to continue to ski and be involved and be close. And so she always mentioned that. So my brother got into it. And he's a big brother, so when he gets into something, it almost gives you like a freedom to do it.
Yeah.
When your big brother says, "Hey, dude, let's do this," you kind of go, "Right on."
Yeah.
So JP, my brother, his name's Jean Paul. Yeah,
very
French. Yeah, very French name. But he said, "Hey, let's do this," and I said, "Great, let's do it." We got back into skiing 5 years ago, and my mogul skiing just took off. I mean, it just got better and better. I mean, with every
even as I always think that mogul skiing's really hard on the knees.
It is, but this is what has helped is. Over those years, I've always trained. It's funny.
Yeah.
I always have been in the gym. I've always been even training for balance and stuff like that. Like always thinking about, hey, skateboarding and things like that. And I've always had a skateboard and got on the skateboard and longboarded and stuff like that. So that was a big help. So when I got the skis back on, they were so much easier.
Yeah. Yeah, because all the new technologies with them,
And, they're so much shorter, they're fatter, they got great turn radius, and all of a sudden it just was like, wow, this is simple, okay.
Yeah.
And I've always done a lot of stretching, and so the squatting that you need to do in mogul skiing wasn't too bad. So, I since then I've had passes. I've done the Icon Pass, and I've done the Staff Pass, the one at Snowbowl.
Gotcha. The Icon Pass, that's the one that's owned by, what is it, Beau?
Yes.
And then you do, because doesn't, not Snowbowl, but the other one, Flagstaff, that's Snowbowl, right?
Sunrise,
okay. Different
pass
with different,
right. So then there's another company that has another pass.
You're right.
Right. So there's only, I guess, from what I understand, there's only so many. There's these big conglomerates that
the industry is consolidating big time. Yeah, especially Vail's buying up stuff worldwide now.
So, which is unbelievable, right? Yeah. So you buy these passes and you could ski at different places. My brother's main place to ski is out in what was called Squaw Valley, which is now Palisades.
Yeah.
And so we go out there every year. He skis there. That's his home skiing place. So he skis there all the time, which is an amazing mountain.
Yeah.
And then we'll do trips to Utah or trips to Colorado, wherever we want to go. This year was great because check this out. In Tucson, we were in a desert.
Yeah.
And we happened to, goes up over 9,000 feet.
Yeah. And good old Mount Lemmon.
Yeah. And it's the most southern ski resort in the United States. Yeah. And these last 2 years have been great here. Yeah. We've just had a lot of skiing.
Oh, I know. It's crazy. I mean, we're coming into April and they're still getting snow up there, although they closed the place down because it's a little mom and pop operation. But
yes.
Yeah, I got up there, skied this year, and it's a small hill, but it's fun. It's got some good terrain.
Yes, it does.
And you can just keep going up and down, up and down, up and down. It's a lot of fun. And if you're a decent skier, chances are you're the best one on the mountain because that's everybody from Tucson.
Right. So people are hooting and hollering as you're going down.
Yeah, they're just kind of sliding down, snow plow, and it's like, oh, this guy can actually make a turn.
Yeah, well, you think about it, you're not that far from Mexico,
right.
And then all of a sudden you have all these people from Mexico that are coming up and going to Mount Lemmon to try skiing.
Yeah, because I got my daughter a lesson up there too while I was skiing, and one of the ladies that was taking a lesson with her, she didn't speak a word of English, and so luckily the instructor spoke Spanish as well. But it was just really interesting. Basically, folks that never skied and it's a novelty to them kind of head to Mount Lemmon. So
it's funny. Mount Lemmon, the snow at Mount Lemmon is so good when it just snows a lot.
Yeah.
It's dry, it's fluffy. The one thing that we have an issue of is it can get too hot too quick, and then it can turn to mush. Freezes at night, and then
nice and icy. That's the way it was when I was up there. So it's like skiing in a t-shirt.
Wow. Well, I've skied it before where it's been just a fresh 1.5 foot beautiful 25 degrees,
Yeah,
and it's
because last
gorgeous.
year you got up there really early, and then they closed the road behind you, and you were the only
Yes,
one on the mountain, right?
that's right. It was
Yeah,
unbelievable.
yeah. You were like, "Can you just open the mountain for me?"
Yeah, and they first said no. They first said no, the road's closed. We're not going to open up. And I was like, what? Like,
It's
you
like,
can't do that.
yeah,
You know, like I got up here and this is going to be an epic session.
yeah.
You know, me on a mountain with maybe the
You
the
and the ski patrol.
the ski patrol. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean up there. So let's do this. And they said, okay, we're gonna open it up, and it was just epic. It was
yeah,
it was some of the best skiing I've ever done. And I've
yeah.
skied Utah and Alta and all those places, and I mean I love Utah. I mean no nothing. I mean Utah's awesome,
Yeah.
and Tahoe's awesome, and Colorado's awesome. But that was amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
the snow was super dry and flaky and fluffy and fun, and
Yeah.
yeah. But just being in the outdoors is, I think, the best. And you know, I was able to sprinkle some of. I don't know if I should say this; it might not be legal, but I did just do a little touch of sprinkling of my mom's ashes.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's plenty legal.
Up at Mount Lemmon.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and just on my favorite run.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
up on
awesome.
Mount Lemmon. And
Yeah.
it was just a touch. It was just a little sprinkle,
Yeah.
but I just thought, hey, I'm going to put some of my mom on
Yeah.
the run that I like most.
Yeah.
And so it's a special place for me.
Yeah.
It's kind of neat. The run's called, I think, Hot Dog.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which
yeah,
is-
I did that a couple of times while I was up there.
Yeah. And that's one of that old movie, Hot Dog. You know?
Right.
So I thought, oh, this is great. This year I got a chance to go to New Mexico and ski a really interesting place called Ski Apache.
Right, in Ruidoso, right?
That's right,
Yeah.
Ruidoso. And if you're not familiar with New Mexico, again, a lot of barren kind of land.
Yeah,
Especially-
mountain.
Right,
Yeah.
just pop up. And Ruidoso, I would say, is mid New Mexico.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not up there. It's not high.
No, it's not. I mean, if there's contender for the lowest ski resort in the United States, it would be Mount Lemmon and probably
That
Ski
one.
Apache. Yeah.
Yeah, so I had an opportunity to get up there, and I only had 3 hours, so I wanted to get up there and do it.
Yeah.
And it was neat. It's on a reservation.
Mhm.
It's 12 miles, kind of deep into the woods.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, windy, skinny little road, and then all of a sudden it pops. There you are at Ski
Yeah.
Apache. It's about the size of our Arizona Snow Bowl.
Oh, okay.
It reminded me of that
Right.
mountain
Yeah.
quite a bit. And it was great. They had a gondola. I caught it on like a Thursday.
Yeah.
No one was even there. It was great. And I had just a wonderful time. So I'm not one of those guys, Ben, that when it comes to skiing, I'm not very picky.
Right.
You know, I tend to want to find moguls anyway,
Mhm.
and that's kind of my thing. But I'm not too picky on it.
Yeah.
I'm not a guy who's like, man, this snow stinks and has a real bad attitude.
Yeah, exactly. You just need to get out there, have fun. Like I remember as a kid, we would do ski lessons, all day, and then up at Stevens Pass, night skiing would open up, and they would just leave like one or two lifts open, and it starts getting really icy. But I just remember just messing around with friends on the hill, doing stupid stuff on the slopes, and for all intents and purposes, night skiing usually just kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But just being up there with good people and messing around, it's like didn't even matter. And
Yeah,
then
I
also
agree.
being raised in Washington, it's like, oh yay, powder day. Oh wait, this powder is all wet and weighs in the crappy snow in Washington.
Yeah, and I think out here in the desert, you kind of have to get used to the conditions and
Right.
and just kind of enjoy the scenery and enjoy what you're doing.
Powder, it could be
Right, and I have rock skis, man.
Yeah.
And they are jacked. I mean, I have so many rock cuts. I have to put wax in it all the time. And, I think Tucson, the great thing about Tucson is that we're only 4 hours really from two of the more bigger ski places.
Mhm.
And that might sound like a lot to those on the East Coast,
Right.
or especially those in Colorado or Utah. But for us in Arizona, I mean, it's hey, we're kind of, especially California folk like myself,
Yeah.
and you've been there to California too. And,
Yeah.
we go, hey, we make a weekend of it, or we take a couple days off and we go up and do it.
Right.
And,
Right.
And, sometimes I'll take like in a month, I'll go every Monday, my day
Yeah.
off, and I'll just drive 4 hours up, ski, and come right back,
Yeah.
and it's a
Yeah.
lot, but it's,
Yeah.
I just enjoy being out in kind of, it's very peaceful, and I get to kind of meditate and
Mhm.
think about life. And, life is not easy at
You're
times. It
right.
can be challenging.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you need something that you enjoy and something that you can just kind of get away, clear your
Yeah.
mind, you know?
Yeah. Skiing definitely does that. I
Mhm.
mean, even at my age when I'm not that in shape anymore, getting back into it though.
Yeah.
Like after the last time I went skiing, I realized like, okay, I need to be doing a lot of squats and running.
Right.
But even so, it's just, I realized like it is my favorite sport. It's my favorite thing I love to do.
Mhm.
It just clears my mind. I just don't think about it
Yeah,
anymore.
there's something to it for
Yeah.
sure. I think of like, I equate it to, when you're surfing, there's a beautiful feeling that you have when you surf, and it has to do with just the whole physics of surfing,
Yeah.
where at times you just feel light,
Yeah.
and I think skiing's like that, where
Yeah.
there's a certain physics to the way
Right.
the gravity pulls you down a mountain and
Right.
the way you turn, and there's a moment where you feel almost like you're light,
Right.
you know
Yeah.
and there's something to that, and there's a beauty to that kind of
Mhm.
sport,
Yeah.
where you feel just absolutely like you're flying,
Yeah. My all-time favorite run. I forget what it's called, but it's Mammoth Mountain. It's the one at the top of the mountain. You take the
Mm.
gondola off, and you get off to the left, and it's just this big, smooth, steep face.
Mm.
11, maybe 12,000 feet up there, and I was never much of a mogul skier, but those long just faces where you could just take those fast,
Mm.
long, sweeping turns.
Like a bowl.
Yeah. It's like that is just my all time favorite run
Mm.
because you're just out there and it's just, yeah, these just long turns. And yeah, you just feel like you're floating.
Yeah, and there's nothing like that.
Yeah.
I think the older I get, the more steeper I like the hills.
Yeah.
I am. My brother laughs because I'm known to, if it says danger,
Right.
don't go.
Yeah.
Like, then I'm the guy who's gonna creep over there
Yeah.
and see what it's like,
Yeah.
and probably drop into it.
Yeah.
But I've learned, when you technically get it down
Mhm.
to how to balance and how to stay really compact
Right.
in your ski form, man, the steeper the slope, the more amazing the
Yeah.
feeling is.
Oh yeah,
So
totally.
it becomes like super addicting, where
Yeah.
you just go, God, I want to feel that lightness. I want to
Mhm.
I want to feel that rush of that big sweeping turn,
Right.
and what that feels like is amazing. And then, the higher you go, the more beautiful it is.
Yes.
It's windy and all that, but it's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
And as you know, it's like sometimes you're up on a peak and you're
Mhm.
just like, and not too many people are up there because it's,
Right.
it's not for everybody.
Right.
And so you kind of go, man, this is special.
Mhm.
I'm up on this mountain.
Yeah.
Not everybody can do this. It's not a common mountain maybe to be
Right.
on, or a common run. And in skiing, you always have to remember that a very small percentage of the skiers
Right.
on that day are
Mhm.
on the top
Right.
peaks.
Yeah.
Most people are on just really low intermediate
Yeah.
intermediate hills,
Yeah.
and that's all they're going to do.
Right.
And then they're going to go have some beers.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, I always think it's funny, like being up in Flagstaff, they have a beer garden right there. In the lift line, it's just the smell of marijuana, and I'm just like,
Yep.
oh my gosh, people like
Arizona skiing.
getting loaded while barreling down a mountain. Well, it doesn't seem like it.
Arizona skiing, man.
Yeah.
It's like, you get in a gondola and everybody's toking.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a pipe or a joint, and you're like, oh, wow.
It takes a little bit of cognitive ability. When I was a kid, did ski school, this one kid fell, another kid ran into his head, and then they were airlifting the kid out from the parking lot.
Yeah.
Skiing is like no joke.
No, it's a dangerous sport.
So I just think that's interesting that the beer garden mountain, especially like on a crowded day too. You got kids everywhere.
Oh yeah, it gets wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, this year a guy died in an avalanche at Palisades.
Really?
That me and my brother have been on that run.
Yeah.
Just thinking, wow, it's hard to believe that someone would die in an avalanche on a run that you've been on.
Right.
That
So
yeah, but in Palisades, yeah, it is where he passed away. It absolutely is part of the boundary. It's one of the famous runs, KT22 in Palisades, which is an unbelievable run. And if you've ever been to Palisades, which used to be Squaw Valley,
right.
It is the most intimidating mountain in the sense that the first thing you see when you look just a little to the left is this incredible, what they call the fingers, which are these incredible drops. And it's so steep, and it's right the first thing you see.
Yeah.
It's like right off the parking lot.
You're right.
So you're like, oh my God, is that like the beginner run?
You're right. You're like, oh, I did notice that, like Northern California, like growing up in Washington, in high school, it's like, oh, double diamond, fine, And I wasn't like a phenomenal skier by any stretch of the imagination. But like Mammoth Mountain, I remember some of these double diamonds. Like, man, if I go the wrong way, I'm going to die.
Yeah, the California mountains can be really, like Utah mountains, are really sharp and jagged, and there's a lot of cliffs and chutes everywhere. And but KT22 has an area you would love that has this really open, bowling look to it as well at the very top. And that is the area that actually had an avalanche this year. Geez. And a guy got caught in it, a local guy. A guy from that area, Truckee, which is that area.
And so because, it was within bounds, he probably didn't have any of the avalanche equipment or anything like that. Those new airbags.
Right there. So I just, and then my brother told me exactly where it was. And you just think, wow, so it is outdoor sports can be, as you know, very dangerous too. And there's something about it that some of us just love. And we kind of are willing to take the risk.
I love it. It's always taking those smart, prepared risks.
Right.
This isn't a skiing story, but I remember when I was at airborne school, our first jump, we were in the back of the C-130 and we're in the air, and I remember the jump master gives the 10-minute signal. He goes, 10 minutes, and you go, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. And the thought crossed my mind, it's like, I could be dead in 10 minutes. This is great.
Wow. Yeah. And I think that way, like when I'm, when I know I'm going to go into an area, I do think about that. Yeah. I do think like of my wife, and, I have kids that are older now, but, and you have a younger kid, so you have to think of that. And, so it is calculated. I usually will, my style is if I'm on a hill that I don't know, I will go up to the cliff area where it says cliff, and I will take off my skis on that cliff area, and I'll walk up to the lip of it and assess it and see what I want to do. And I don't just like, you can't just blow off these things. You can't just go and you're going to die.
Because I'm just rusty and a little out of shape.
Yeah.
I'm just standing at the top, just kind of looking, just kind of seeing where I'm going to make my turns and stuff like that. And this lady, she asked, she's like, you going to ski this? I'm like, yeah. She's like, so how come you stop and look? I'm like, oh, I'm just, kind of plotting out my turns and stuff like that. I'm a little old and fat and don't want to hurt myself.
That's wise.
Just kind of seeing, seeing if there's any rough spots. So it's always a good idea, especially in extreme sports, or I wouldn't consider it extreme, but
it can be.
It can be, yes.
Yeah, depends on the mountain.
Yeah, ever watch those Red Bull videos? Oh, great.
Yeah, and that's another level. I mean, I would love to do some hella skiing at some point. I just find that would be probably the best of every world.
Yes, they just fly you to a spot, with a guide, and
I just some of the things people are doing today are absolutely insane. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But I love I love motorcycle riding nowadays, and
That's right. Yeah.
I find getting out just again out in the middle of nothing
Right.
is super fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just love it more and more
Mhm.
nowadays,
Yeah.
So I think what you'll hear on a lot of these podcasts is that people are trying to, in a sense, escape from that
Right.
incredibly intense world that we're in, right? Where
Mhm.
we just have too much information, too
Yes.
fast,
Yep.
and we don't have enough time
Right.
just to think about life,
Yeah.
you
I
know?
know.
Like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And that's where skiing or motorcycle
Yeah.
riding or snowmobiling or hiking and
Mhm.
all that comes into mind,
Yeah.
comes really into practice.
Yeah. I mean, people are just getting burnt out, just staring at their screens all day. And it's not like even, like intentional, like you're just sitting there on your couch watching TV all day. I mean, like for me, I work from home and I'm also doing an online MBA right now. So it's like I go from my work computer to my school computer,
Mm,
watch lectures,
yeah.
homework, and then if I'm checking out social media, maybe watching TV, and I'm like, wow, it's like solid 8, 10, 12 hours on a screen.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's just
unbelievable.
like, I'm over it. And you're getting out and skiing with no screen, you're focused on the mountain, my burning quads,
Yeah. And just the
Yeah,
feeling
yeah,
of the air
yeah,
hitting your face
yeah.
is like
It's,
therapeutic.
yeah,
Because in your, on the computer, you don't have that,
no, no.
you know?
Even like the beautiful backdrop, it's like camping, on my desktop. Still, yeah, you don't get to feel the wind in your face or anything like that. It's just like, oh, I wish I was there,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, it's just whatever people do to have that, be able to get out in nature and actually feel the wind on your face, feel the rocks under your feet. It's yeah, you just need to free your mind from everyday life.
Yeah. I mean, growing up a Generation X kid,
Yeah.
I didn't have a computer. There
Mhm.
wasn't. I remember when Commodore 64s
Right.
came out,
Right.
and games like Pong and stuff like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
So we grew up. I even remember growing up with only 13 channels
Yeah.
on a TV.
Yeah.
Uh,
You remember the cable boxes
oh
on top
yeah,
where you go click click
yeah,
click 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 click.
yep. I remember when those
Yeah.
came on the scene.
We're like 30 channels.
Yeah,
No way.
unbelievable. You know, and yeah, so that's my era, and I think that a lot of I'm in my early 50s. I think a lot of us at my age kind of want to go back to
Yeah.
what it was like when we grew up riding our BMX bikes, got
Yeah.
on our skateboards, got on our roller skates, whatever it was,
Right.
but we kind of just were outside.
Yeah.
And I find that, yeah, even at work, I'm on a computer. I do a lot
Mhm.
of administrative work, so it seems like I'm
Yeah.
on the computer a lot. But even that, it's like I just want to get up, walk
Yeah.
outside, and sometimes you don't want to go in because you just don't
Yeah.
want to be inside.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, I took my workout equipment. Matter of fact, my daughter was asking me today, she's like, how come your workout equipment's in the backyard?
Mm,
She's like, can't you just do it in your office? I'm like, but then I wouldn't get to go outside.
yeah,
So what I do now is in between meetings, I go outside, do push-ups, sit-ups, weighted squats and curls and things like that.
that's
And,
awesome.
just building in that routine, because another thing with skiing, I realize, being out of shape, it's like, eh, to do the type of skiing I want to do, it's getting out of shape can be actually be a little dangerous.
Yes, yeah,
If you're hitting black diamonds and things, you can't hold an edge or whatever.
hmm
Halfway through a turn, and there's just a lot that can go wrong. So,
yep,
after my two skiing experiences. This winter, it's like, okay, I need to get my wife says I'm starting to look a little less fat. So
That's good. Yeah. Well, that's it. It's,
Yeah.
you have a passion for it. And
Yeah.
like me and my brother, we have a passion for skiing. We love it. And even though I live in the desert, I'm willing to, kind of allocate whatever funds, to that sport.
Do you buy new equipment, or did you get hand-me-down stuff when you
Yeah.
were getting back into it?
I went out and purchased new equipment. My brother told me that the equipment was a lot different than what we were used to.
Yeah.
And so I actually got mine from Ski Essentials in Vermont.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a big online
very cool.
kind of platform.
Oh, okay.
And they have incredible videos of demoing everything.
Oh, okay.
So if you want skis, they got someone demoing it, and it's great.
Yeah.
But so I bought a pair on there, and then because I'm a mogul guy, it's like I kind of went, oh, I think I want another pair of this kind, and then so I have like 3 new pairs of skis. I mean, and one of them's my rock skis right now.
Yeah.
And they're my vocals, but I tend to usually ride around 95 underneath boot.
Yeah.
So, and I'm riding everywhere from, I'll ride as low as a 168 to in height. And so I'm mostly on moguls all day. Like I will literally do a mogul run every time. It's unbelievable. And I've done 7 hours straight of mogul runs.
Yikes, man.
I know it's been amazing. The burn is amazing.
Yeah, I bet. But you've done well at keeping yourself in shape over the years. I mean, I remember working out with you when I was in my military shape, and then got out of the military. And I'm 10 years younger than you, and you're in much better shape than I am.
But you'll get there because you're just going to get there, and then you just start staying there. I'm lucky I have a big brother who motivates me. He swims out in the ocean.
Oh, geez. Wow.
In San Francisco.
Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah.
He's on his, his street bike. He's running.
Yeah.
Where I'm more of a weight guy. I'm more of a guy who gets into the gym.
Yeah.
And I'll do more weights like 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And then I'll work on just agility, like Bosu ball work.
Yeah.
Like that's probably the greatest thing for skiing, man, is a Bosu ball.
Bosu ball. What is that?
It's a half ball, and you can balance on that and do squats on that. You can hold weights in your hands and do squats. You can do one-legged squats. You can flip it over and balance and do push-ups and balancing. But you're using all these little tendons in your body, and when you think of skiing, it's all these little tendons that you have to kind of control.
Yeah.
And in skiing, a lot has to do with your heel and toe balance. It's really cool. But so a Bosu ball helps out a lot. Yeah. And just build up those little fine parts of your legs.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get one of those and incorporate it.
You'll love it.
Workouts. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as we're wrapping up here, what would be your biggest piece of advice to somebody who's, middle-aged, getting back into skiing, doesn't have any equipment anymore, and basically doesn't know where to start again?
Yeah. I think, first of all, it's great that you have that mindset that you want to get back into it, and don't let anything stop you, from doing it. From going outside. We live only on this earth once, and it doesn't matter really what you believe. Yeah. You're only on the planet once.
You're right.
You know what I mean?
There's only one way out of this planet.
I have my own thoughts, on that. And, we go around once. And so if you have a thought and you go, man, I really want to get on a motorcycle. I want to go do hiking. I want to go skiing. I want to go skateboarding. I want to go surfing. Just remember, there's people that are old that do these things every day. There's people that are old in their 80s that surf, that are people that are in their 80s and 90s that ski. I mean, it's unbelievable. People do all kinds of things in their old age. Don't let the culture define kind of what you're doing. take that step to go to, I would first say, start working out a little
Yes.
bit. Start just, you know, starting a little bit of running or something, just getting your legs familiar with impact,
You're right.
so that when you do hit the hill, you're not totally frustrated.
Yeah.
Some people, I've taken people before, I'm not going to say who and embarrass them, but I've taken people before that have not been in the best of shape.
Yes.
And so when they fall, they can't really get up.
Right.
And they're either boarding or skiing. I'm a skier, but they just can't get up because they just don't have the muscle strength to kind of pull themselves up.
Right.
So by the time they get pulled up, they're like, whew, I'm tired.
Yeah.
So start working out a little bit, and then go to a ski place. Don't plan to do it all day.
Right.
Just plan to do it like a couple hours. And then go, have your beer or whatever you want, hang out and at the pub, the ski pub or whatever, and just watch people ski. And I think that's some of the best things you can do is just watch people that are good that ski and look at their mechanics. And think of what they're doing. And go, man, that's what I want to look like. Because you do become what you behold. If you're beholding good skiers and you're watching them ski and you're looking at their mechanics, then when you get on it, you're going to go, okay, I see that I need to bend like this, and my legs need to be like that. And, you're going to start thinking that way. So start watching people that ski. Get on YouTube and start looking at skiers.
I think, I know it's not Warren Miller narrating anymore.
I love his shows.
I just remember, like fall or roll around, and they do a Warren Miller season screening. They get you pumped up for ski season. Watch Warren Miller.
Those old
shows.
So go on YouTube, type in Warren Miller ski, and you'll find a ton of them.
They're great all the way back through the 80s.
Gosh.
He did one up at Mount Lemmon one year.
That's awesome.
Like back, I don't know, the 70s, 80s or something. So,
gosh, that's amazing. But so plan just a couple hours, rent your stuff. I would just rent it and get familiar with the way it feels on you. But make sure that you're in somewhat of a shape, and so that when you're on the slopes. And I would start on a small hill. I think our hill in Tucson is a bit steep for a beginner. Myself. I think it is. But that's me. I mean, I just think a lot of people try it. I saw a guy this year. His first, he starts off on the small hill. I was watching him. He was an older guy, but his first run, he goes down, falls backwards, hits his head. He's done. He's done for the day. I'm just like, oh man, what a mess. So rent your equipment. Only say, hey, I'm going to do 2 hours. I'm going to do maybe a ski school, learn some of the basics, and just stop. And then take a break, go hang out.
Have lunch, have beer or whatever. And then maybe a run or two more, but take it slow.
Yes.
Because you're going to feel it the next day. And if you try to push it for 8 hours, you're going to be like, this sucks. Well, it's like, you're just older and it hurts more.
And you don't want to tear an ACL, MCL, all those muscles. And I've seen too many people on the mountain. I've seen a lot of people tear their knees. And I'm a mogul guy. So always in impact.
One of my earliest memories, my dad back in the day, he would adjust his own bindings and he adjusted them too tight. And it was kind of before the day the bindings also had the twisting come out. He twisted his leg, spiral fracture. And I just remember him laying in bed with 8 bolts in his leg. And just like, so...
it's so important. I know everybody that thinks of skiing goes, man, I just want to put on those skis or get that snowboard on and kind of go balls out. Learning. But you do that, man, and that's when you're down and you go, oh my God, I think I tore my knee.
You're right.
Because it's it takes just a little twist, in the wrong spot. So
Yeah.
work out, get used to some agility, and then get going. But do it.
Yes.
That's my encouragement.
Yes.
Get
do
out and
it
do it.
and keep doing it. Yeah.
Yes.
Don't let anything stop you. So
yes. Thanks a lot for letting me be on the show, man.
Yeah. Thanks for being here. You're my first guest. It's wonderful to have you.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
remember, folks, be wild, be free.